folks, and welcome to another edition of the Pilot Review Show. I am Captain Blade J52, and we're here for our regularly scheduled programming in addition to our interview this week. And I have with me the full panel of hosts this evening. We have our Neela of the Daton variety.
What a ball.
Then we also have our favorite RP hologram standing directly beside me on the frame here, Artie.
Hello.
And then somewhere up in the mess of the bridge stations, we have our teacher of the Kirby variety.
Howdy-ho! How's it going, folks?
So, we've got a few little things to get through for you guys this week. Not really going to be one of our longest shows, at least I don't think it will. Most everything happened last week, it appears. So, yeah, let's get right on into this, shall we?
We shall.
And first up, we have our RP blog, The Past and Present. This kind of touches base on some of what Kira's been doing since Deep Space Nine and everything, as far as the character goes. And, apparently she had become a Kai, which we can kind of see in the opening sentences. But, yeah, thoughts from you guys?
I feel like it's a really nice read, as per usual for these RP blogs. For this, it feels like it gives you the very in-depth visual of how Kira reacts and how she's aged since the ending of DS9, and how she sees the current, state of the galaxy, and how Bajor fits into all of it. I feel like it gives us a good stepping stone to what we may see more of the character in Victory's life.
Okay.
It was also interesting to me to see how they how Kai Wynn had influenced Kira's performance of her duties as Kai. How Kai Wynn and how she was all ostentatious and power and and all that had influenced Kira's choices and how she performs the job.
But yeah, what about you, Sir Neela? Any thoughts or anything?
It was just to see kind of a transformation from how she was into the Kai. That was a very nice homage.
Okay. Yeah, like I say, folks, we usually don't go into too much detail because we don't want to spoil it for anybody that may want to read it themselves or may not have had the chance to do so. But rest assured, we will, as always, have the link in the description once the local recorder goes up. You guys can check that out and read it and see how Major Kira has progressed since then. But moving right along, we have our Q&A.
So yeah, we have our community Q&A with Jeffrey Combs, or Combs. I can never remember how to pronounce his name, so I apologize if I get it wrong. But anyway, so this article is actually a transcript of an interview. It was back on Twitter and Facebook and STO forums. STO asked for questions from the community. They took their favorites and they asked him and got some answers. And it's an interesting read. I think it's a very good read. And again, I don't want to spoil it for anybody who hasn't read it and wants to. So.
Yeah.
There are some really good ones in there. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I know we're kind of dancing around it a little bit, like Kirby said. We don't really want to spoil it for anybody that wants to check it out for themselves. But it is pretty good. There are, like Artie said, some good questions in there. But we will have that in the notes for you guys, so you can check that out. I encourage you all to read that and everything, because it's Always good to catch up with some of the stars after all this time. But, anyways, moving along, we have a double XP weekend for console.
Yep. For this one, starting Thursday, April 26th, and ending Monday, April 30th, all the console guys will be able to enjoy twice the experience. During the event, content that provides skill points and expertise will reward a 100% bonus above normal amounts. This bonus will be available for all content that rewards skill points and expertise. So, short and sweet, there you go.
Yep. Now we should mention something that me and Kirby like to do, is if you open lock boxes or you have some EC you can spend on the exchange, pick up some of the Temporal Duty Officer assignments as just one of the many flavors that they come in. There's 23rd Century, Temporal, some of those. You can run those, and it will apply to those as well. So, I think, what would you say, Kirby, between 3 to 4 levels sometimes off of one assignment?
Yeah, you can, and it only takes, if you're level 60 too, it only takes maybe 2 assignments to get a full spec point. If you crit less than that, yeah.
It is very much so well worth it, but yeah, that's the big happening on console and everything. This is a good time for anybody to level their characters. I know I actually need to get on and do that myself. So, yeah, that's probably what I'll be doing after the show. But, anyways, that's our XP weekend. Take advantage of that while you can, folks. But, moving along, we have our PC patch notes for the 26th.
Yes, we do. This big elephant in the room, the Kobayashi Maru is back. Basically, this is a weekend event where they added the prolonged engagement powered dynamo console, where do Kobayashi Maru 3 times, once per day. And you'll have that, or if you didn't have something from a last event, you can go ahead and play it 3 times and use it for that one, or do it on 2 characters and do it that way. There's very many different ways to go about doing that. The next one, Romulan Imperial Minefield. This is the updated version from the Gorn Federation Minefield queues. Basically plays the same way, more or less. It's just a nice, cleaner, fresher way of seeing it. They extended the Renegade's Regret as the featured episode. They fixed everything old as new, slight alterations to McCoy's behavior to prevent certain issues that could hinder the mission progression. This big one, resolved issue, which would occasionally cause a crash when in the ship tailor and the player joins a queue. Because I know a bunch of people that would go in the tailor and then queue something right before they go in, and then it pops and it's like, yeah, crash. Yeah, crash.
Pretty sure we've all done that at least once.
And then the Draconian Polon, the animation plays correctly. Thank God.
Yep.
Then one more fix. The Kitamura Accord, the adjusted behavior for the final boss, so that it should not get into a state where it fully heals in between phases of combat. Wasn't that big of a deal.
Hopefully y'all didn't hear me hacking a lung.
Yeah, which wasn't that big of a deal, but it kind of broke with the mission. It's like, really? They fully repaired their ship in about 2 seconds?
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay. That's all we got, float. Anything from
Yep.
you three? You three chuckleheads?
Yes, glad to see some improvements.
Yeah.
Though I do have to say, I hope that they do use that sword at some point. I know I'd said that in previous shows in place of the one that we were originally supposed to get in place with the pole arm. Like I say, it's too good of a model for them to not use it at some point, in my opinion. But that's just...
I was really hoping that since they extended it, they'd just slide it back in there, but I guess not.
Yep. But, yeah, that's pretty much what we've got for our articles this evening. Kind of a slow week, in all honesty. But, are we really already at the budget build and just 10 minutes in? Holy crap.
I know, right?
Yeah.
New record!
Yay, new record. But, anyways, as far as our budget build goes for this evening, now, you probably guessed we're on a Cardassian bridge, so that may have something to do with it. And if that's what you were thinking, you are 100% correct. Now, this evening, we're doing a Kelvin Tank. This is to keep in line with our Dominion theme, since the Cardassians were originally part of the Dominion during Deep Space Nine. But we've done a Kelvin Tank before. It's been quite a while. It was actually back before Season 13, so we figured with the new expansion, why not do a new build and everything for you guys? It's been a while, new gear, all that kind of fun stuff. So, if you're somebody that appreciates that, and especially with the Cardassian characters coming out, we figured why not? So, if you're somebody that thinks you're going to make a Cardassian and you want to get the McKeldin, then you've got some pretty good stuff to start out with on this ship. Now, this is a bare bones build, meaning it takes 2 million energy credits or less to build the ship. 2 million EC is our maximum spending limit. Everything else must be free or as cheap as possible. Now, for this particular ship and everything, you get an advantage starting out that you don't typically get with other ships, and that's the fact that it comes with 4 of the spiral wave disruptors already on the ship. So you've got 4 weapons taken care of right there at the budget level and everything. So, and in case you guys are kind of curious as to what one can look like, can ultimately get to that. So it gets crit X and then Act/Dam, and then it has 2 Act mods and 2 damage mods. So they're very good weapons. They are hybrid weapons on top of that, so they're based in Disruptor, but they have the ability to deal either the Phaser subsystem offline proc or the standard Disruptor -10 to all damage resist. So they're very potent weapons straight out of the box. Then, for our other weapons, we're calling into play a lot of set bonuses. We're going to take a look at those in-game in just a minute. But for our forward weapons, we have 2 of our spiral waves. Then we have our Nausicaan beam array and our Nausicaan energy torpedo. Now, the torpedo, again, is dealing disruptor damage, so it will benefit from your tactical consoles and other such powers. Then, for our rear weapons, we have our other 2 spiral waves. Then we have our Resonant Disruptor Beam. And then we also have our House Martok Omni, which for some reason it's glitched out on the photo and not showing it, but it is there in the builder. So that's what we have as far as weapons. Now, all of these are going to start out at Mark 12. Very rare as far as the ones you pick up from the missions and everything. So you're very good there. Plop the spiral waves into the upgrade window to get a free conversion to Mark 12, and there's very rare weapons starting out, without ever having to touch EC or anything like that, really. Then, since we're keeping this as a tank and everything, we're using some items that we feature quite a bit here on the show, because they are, in my opinion, some of the best free-to-play items you can get for a build like this. We have, for our deflector, our impulse, and our shields, the Soul Defense space set. And this comes from the Midnight mission. And what is so special about the Soul Defense set is, for the 2 set bonus, you get the free equivalent of a neutronium alloy armor in terms of damage resistance for free. just by having any 2 items from the set equipped on the ship. Then, the other big thing that you get for the 3 set bonus is a massive heal that I have seen in some cases restore a ship from almost completely dead all the way back to full. So it's a very potent heal that can affect you and anybody close enough to receive it. So that's some major bonuses to the Soul Defense set, and in addition to that, it offers a lot of upfront damage negation as well. Then, for our Warp Core, since this set doesn't feature a Warp Core, we have to source one out. The staple core that we usually go for is the Temporal Phase Overcharged Core, because it is such a potent thing. And for those of you out there now, since they've reran the Delta Recruit, if you've been leveling your Delta Recruit, if you take a look at your Temporal Negotiator device, you'll notice that this Warp Core does the same thing in the form of a Warp Core Capacitor. Whenever you use the capacitor, it will cut your Bridge Officer cooldowns in half for the duration, so this is very good for cooldown reduction whenever you need it in a pinch. Then, moving on down to our devices, you have 4 device slots to work with. We usually think of them as personal preference, but one that we do always recommend is the Subspace Field Modulator, because it's a free device that any of the factions will have access to as you're leveling up and everything. Now, whenever you use this device, it gives essentially a free neutronium's worth of resistance while it is active. Now, it does also debuff you for a minus 400 protonic damage resist rating. Now, that is a very substantial thing, and because of that, we felt that it is worthy of making a note here. Now, there's not a lot of enemies that use it, but it is still something to be aware of in your surroundings. Now, you could use other devices, like one that I had here is the energy amplifiers. You could use particle floods, Gemini hardpoints. What's the other one you always like to use, Kirby?
Weapons batteries. The reactive catalyst, reactive armor catalyst.
That's it. I could not think of that.
Yeah,
one.
for a tank, those are great.
Yep. I suck with remembering names sometimes, folks. I will admit that.
I think what's happening is as I'm weaning off of my medication, which I'm almost off of, the ability to remember things is now transferring between, me and Chris. So, used to be he remembered everything and I couldn't, and now I'm remembering more. So now it's popping for it. Yeah, so it's basically what she's saying is there's only enough brain for any one of us at any one time, and it kind of have to pass it back and forth. Y'all know how that goes. But anyways, like I say, that's some of the devices that you could potentially use and everything. You can kind of mix and match for whatever suits you. Now, for our engineering consoles and our consoles in general, you have 5 engineering, 3 science, and 3 tactical slots to work with. Now, we'll take a look at the Lance in just a moment. Now, for our assimilated module, we have this because it gives a good bit of critical chance and severity for free. This is one of our reputation consoles, and it's a very potent console. It gives a pretty fair chunk of it overall in terms of chance and severity. Then we have one of my personal favorite budget tanky consoles, which is the Trillium D-plating. Now, the Trillium D-plating will give you some good damage resistance as well as shield capacity, because it's basically a neutronium armor and a field generator slammed into one console. And it will also give you a little bit of your aux power to shields as some bonus power. So it's a very nice little console to have on the budget end. Then another console we have is our 0-point energy conduit. This is a good little bit of critical chance for free and everything, as well as I believe this one gives a little bit of Drain X, if that's something that may interest some people. Then we have our House Martok defensive configuration console. Now, this is basically an RCS and a field generator slammed into one thing. It will give you a bit of hit points, it will give you a bit of shield capacity, and a bit of turn rate all at the same time. So, a very good thing. Then, let's go ahead and actually take a look at our Lance. I'll pull this up in-game for you guys, so you can see it. Now, what's so special about the Spiral Wave Lance
is the fact that it gives a, well, for the passive bonus, it gives a plus 20% disruptor energy weapon damage, as well as a 12.5% cooldown reduction on Intel Bridge Officer powers. So, very, very powerful. Definitely not something to sneeze at. But, that's some of the major bonuses that you get there. It's essentially a free tactical console, and it's going to give some cooldown reduction to boot. Now, this also gives you the ability to fire the Spiral Wave Disruptor Lance. Now, whenever you fire this, it's going to deal a good chunk of disruptor damage, and it's also going to disable a subsystem for 5 seconds, and it's also going to do a minus 30 all damage resist for 15 seconds. It's on a 2-minute recharge. Now, this will get boosted by disruptor damage and everything. You can use that on the Galore, you can use it on the Keldin, either or, and everything. And it'll be kind of interesting to see if they let us put this on any more of the Cardassian ships and everything that are coming with Victory's Life. So, yeah. That's our Lance that I wanted to show you guys and everything in the game, so you know what you're getting. Then, for our science consoles, we have the Nausicaan Siphon Capacitor. Now, this gives a good bit of disruptor damage, it gives a good bit of power transfer, and I believe it gave a little bit of Drain X as well, if I'm not mistaken. So, very good to have. It's essentially another free tactical console of sorts. Then we have one of our more versatile consoles. We have the Temporal Disentanglement Suite. This will give a good chunk of shield capacity. It'll give a little bit of shield damage resistance. And the main catch for this console is it also, depending on your auxiliary power, will give you a good chunk of critical chance and critical severity. And the buff will vary based on your aux power up to a certain maximum, and is very well worth it in my opinion. Then we have our Bioneural Gel Pack, if I get words this evening. And what is so good about this console for the build is it will give a good bit of Bridge Officer cooldown reduction, so about 7% from there. So, yeah, you're going to be cooling off some of your powers, especially the Intel powers with everything taken together, quite a bit faster. For our tactical consoles, we have 2 of the Disruptor Induction Coils. You can get those from the Echoes of Light mission. And then we have our Harmonic Resonance Relay, which is going to give a good little bit of a boost to our torpedoes, also our energy damage for disruptors, and then also a secondary effect as well, that it's going to give plus 4 armor pin to weapons. Now, we're going to be using a lot of set bonuses, so we're going to go over those really quickly, then we're going to get into the skills and the traits and everything. Now, for our, we'll start with the Nausicaan set. Now, if we mouse over the Nausicaan beam array here, you can see some of what it does and everything. It carries the standard disruptor proc. Then it also has a chance to apply a disruptor net and everything, which is a hold for 5 seconds, and also dealing a good little bit of disruptor damage, and that will get augmented by the Nausicaan set bonus. So let's go ahead and look at the set bonuses. Now, I'm actually using some of these pieces on my own Keldin at the moment. So for the 2-piece bonus and everything, you get the augment to the disruptor net and everything, which is disruptor net gains, it's so much disruptor damage every second for 5 seconds, in addition to its normal effect. So this allows you to deal disruptor damage in addition to the normal effect, which is the hold. And this damage can be boosted by weapons training and energy weapon training. Then our 3-piece, which is a very, very potent 3-piece, is 6% disruptor damage and plus 50 Starship hull pin for our weapons. And that, I believe, does actually stack with our other bonuses that we're going to have. So you're going to be bypassing quite a bit of their armor by using this 3-piece bonus. Then for our Martok, because we have the console and the Omni-Beam, take a look at the set bonuses that you're going to be getting here, which is the 2 set. Now the 2 set, it's not too terribly impressive, but it's not something to sneeze at either, and everything on the budget end. It is 2.5% critical chance for free and 15 accuracy rating. So that's going to offset some of the accuracy penalty to things like fall and similar firing modes. Then for our final set bonus that we're taking advantage of here, which is our resonance set, what we have here for our resonance set is the resonance amplifiers. It is a 3.6 weapon power setting, and resonance disruption wave increases energy damage dealt to shields by 15%. Now the disruption wave is something that comes with the weapon itself. It's a 2-kilometer radius, dealing a bit of physical damage, and increases damage to the shields from all energy types and everything. So that's a very, very potent bunch of stuff. So not only are you going to bypass a lot of their armor, you're going to knock down their shields a heck of a lot quicker too. So it's sort of a disruptor rainbow that we've got going, but you take advantage of a lot of stuff and get quite a bit of bang for your buck, I believe. Now let's go into the skills and everything here. Now the skill build has been updated and everything for Season 13, and I believe I was actually missing a few points, so I forgot to apply the last 4 points. I will take care of that here on screen in just a second. But so we have improved hull and shield capacity and everything. Then we have 1 point into shield and hull restoration each. It's going to increase your hull and shield capacity as well as give a bit of a boost to the healing. Then you have advanced energy weapon training, 3 points into that for free damage from our weapons. Then we have the improved EPS flow for free power transfer. Then we have impulse expertise for a bit of turn rate and everything. We have points into control expertise and drain expertise. That's going to allow us to take advantage of some other powers, perhaps later, and give some general boosts all around. And we have the improved targeting expertise and the improved defensive maneuvering. This is going to offset the firing mode penalty to things like fall and cannon, scatter, volley, and similar modes. This is also going to make the ship harder to hit. Then we have all 3 points into our hull platings. This is free damage resist just by having it. Then we have our 2 points into the improved shield hardness. That is free damage reduction to the shields. Then we have our advanced energy weapon training, or advanced weapon amplification and advanced weapon specialization. There we go. For free critical chance and free critical severity, just by having these on the ship. Then for our captain tier, we have the defensive and offensive subsystem tuning. Then we also have the improved exotic particle generators and everything. So we picked up a good bit of power and everything just by having those. Our EPG is going to be something nice for some science-based effects and everything if we wanted to draw from them. Then we've got 3 points into our long-range targeting sensors, which is going to reduce the weapon drop-off penalty. Then normally here I would say you have your choice of either hull pin or shield pin, and you can justify either one. Arguments can be made for either one. In this case, since you're stacking a lot of armor pin already, I'm actually going to recommend going for hull pin in this case, so you can bypass the armor a heck of a lot quicker. Now this is where the final points, I know what I meant to do here and everything, and I was going to, so what the heck, I'll just go ahead and do it now. So what I was going to do, I was going to put a point in core potential and core efficiency and everything. I've got the point in potential and 1 in efficiency. That's going to be free power for us. And then the final 3 points I was going to put into tactical readiness, to reduce the cooldowns on our tactical powers. So that is what I meant to do, but I apparently put it down somewhere in a note and forgot to actually apply it. Not that Kirby or any of them are really surprised.
No,
Nope.
we're not.
Nope, not a bit.
And notice how they throw me under the bus. Then, for our specializations, we have Pilot for some of the nice defensive powers it can give, as well as immunities, and some of the general get-out-of-jail-free cards. Then we also have Strategist, which gives a lot of offensive or defensive powers based on whether or not you're in threatening stance. Then, as we move on to our traits, for our traits we have the Nanite Repair Matrix, which is a nice little heal whenever you drop below 50% hull. Everything, you can get that from the Midnight Mission. Then we have Beam Barrage, which comes from our Beam R&D Crafting School. And we typically like to assume that as you're leveling a character, you've chosen one R&D Crafting School to level. And in this case, we've chosen Beams for that. Then we also have Elusive for free defensive value, which is going to make the ship harder to hit. Beam Training for free beam damage. And we have Accurate, which is going to offset the firing mode penalty to things like fall a little bit. Then we have our Fleet Coordinator for free damage based on the party size, up to 10%. So you're going to get at least 2% just by having your, just by being slotted. Then you have your career-specific trait, in this case a tactical this time, which is the last-ditch effort trait. If you are not a tactical captain, but you would like to take advantage of this build, simply swap in your own career-specific trait and you'll be doing just fine. Then we have Operative for a bit of free critical chance and severity. And then finally the point-blank shot from the House Peg mission. Now this is going to give you a damage increase based on how close you are to the target, up to a certain maximum. Then coming into our Starship Traits, this is one of those builds, yet again, where we are able to actually slot 4 traits and fill up our trait bar and everything. As a free-to-play, you typically only have 4 of the trait slots unlocked to start with. So, in this case, we've chosen the Pedal to the Metal trait that is going to come from our pilot tree. That's going to give a decent little bit of a damage boost as long as you're at full throttle. Then we have the Best Defense from House Peg. It grants a hull healing buff along with normal effects to your attack patterns. Then we have Unconventional Tactics from our Strategist tree. Activating Brace for Impact will give us a damage increase for a time. Then we have the trait that actually comes with the Kelvin itself, which is Insidious Tactics. Activating Aceton Beam, Surgical Strikes, or Torpedo Transport Warhead will grant a critical hit chance and severity, and it will stack the buff up to 3 times. Now it is a 1% critical chance boost, and then a 5% severity boost, so up to 3% critical chance and severity for 30 seconds whenever you pop this trait. Now for Space Reputation abilities, we have the Advanced Target Systems for free severity, Precision for free critical hit chance, our Aux Power Offensive, which is going to give us an accuracy and damage boost based on our Aux Power level, and then finally the Chronocapacitor Array to give free cooldown reduction. Then for our Active Reputation abilities, we have the Biomolecular Shield Generator. This is the green ball you see a lot of people using in ISA and other maps. Whenever you pop this up, it will give an immediate heal to your shields, as well as increasing regen rate and reducing damage to anybody in the area for a time. Then we have one of my personal favorite active rep abilities, which is the Deploy Sensor Interference Platform. This is sort of an oh crap I'm gonna die button. And for this particular power, whenever you activate it, it will poof up a little sensor platform that will taunt enemies to itself. until it either is destroyed or the time runs out on the platform, whatever happens first. Then we have our anti-time entanglement singularity. This is a nice little AoE bubble type thing that does physical damage to foes caught within it, as well as slowing them down. And is a nice little AoE kick in the pants. Then for our final active rep power, we have the Quantum Singularity Manipulation. This increases all science stats by 100 for a short time, in addition to giving a temporary cloaking effect. So, for this particular power and everything, the combination myself and Kirby like to do for some of these to get more bang for your buck is to pop any exotic buffs and everything we might have first, follow with Quantum Singularity Manipulation, maybe crack off something like a Gravity Well or what have you, then follow up with your Anti-Time Entanglement Singularity, and you will do a heck of a lot more damage that way. Then getting into our buffs. So for our bridge officers and everything on this particular ship, you have a Lieutenant Commander Tactical, Lieutenant Commander Universal / Intel, Commander Engineering, Lieutenant Engineering / Intel, and an Ensign Science. So you've got a little bit of adaptability with the ship here. For our Lieutenant Commander Tactical and everything, we went with a Torpedo Spread 1 to take advantage of the torpedo. We went with a Attack Pattern Beta and a Fall 3. So the Fall 3 is going to allow us to smack anything within range with our beams, and then Beta is going to throw a debuff on them. Then we have our Commander Engineering Seat, which is a engineering team, which is going to give us a nice hull heal and purge certain debuffs, like the viral matrix type abilities that the Iconians like to use. Then we also have the reverse shield polarity, which is going to allow us to recharge our shields in a pinch based off of incoming damage. Then we have our emergency weapons 3, which is going to give a nice little bit of a damage boost, as well as some weapons power for the duration. Then we also have the warp bubble 3, which is a nice little AoE debuff to the enemy, and as long as they're within 4 kilometers, they will be affected by this, and it will essentially cut their damage and their speed and several other things in half for the duration of the power. And currently there is no hard upper limit to the amount of enemies it can affect, so as long as they are within 4 kilometers. Then for our Lieutenant Engineering / Intel, we went with our Emergency to Engines 1. This is going to give some emergency power to our engines whenever we need it, allowing us to get the ship around a heck of a lot easier and maneuver better. Then we have our Override Subsystem Safeties 2. This is going to allow us to access some of that overcapped power that we might not be able to use normally. It's a nice power to increase damage for the time. Then getting into our final 2 seats, the Ensign Science, we have a Hazard Emitters 1 that's going to purge certain things like the Borg Plasma Fires and some other various hazards, as well as providing a heal over time. Then for our Lieutenant Commander Universal / Intel, we decided to go with a Science seat this time around. And for our first power, we have the Science Team, which is going to heal our shields a bit whenever we use it. It's also going to purge certain pesky debuffs, like a subnucleonic beam. Then we also have our Transfer Shield Strength power. This is going to be a nice little heal to the shields whenever we need. This can be swapped for a more offensive power if somebody so desires, if you think that you have enough defensive power. Then we have our Surgical Strikes power, which is a nice single target kick in the pants to the enemy and will allow us to proc our Insidious Tactics trait. Then, really quickly, we'll take a look at the cost for the build and get some thoughts from the panel. Now, as far as costs go, this is one of the builds where we actually did not use any of our energy credits and everything. So we have the full 2 million budget intact. We did use about 45,000 dilithium, so that's about a 6-day build time, assuming only 1 character is refining dilithium per day. But, yeah, you got quite a bit to work with here. Thoughts from our panel now?
It does look like a good, solid build. I would say one important thing to note if people are looking at it, that fire at will and surgical strikes will lock each other out, so you do need to be careful as to which one you want to activate, because you won't be able to activate them together.
Yes, and I am very glad you mentioned that, actually.
Yeah.
But yeah, so if you're somebody that's, if you're wanting to get yourself a Kelvin for your Cardassian tune coming up, and everything, so they can have an actual Cardassian ship, then you want a tank, then maybe this build is for you. But, anyway, that is our budget build for the evening. I'm actually going to go ahead and set the changes to that before I forget. So overall, this should provide you with a good bit of damage output, as well as the ability to stay alive. Coming up on the bugs corner now, one thing that I have heard reports of that I have not been able to confirm yet and everything myself is rather disturbing when involving the Kobayashi Maru. And I have had people tell me that in some cases enemies can get stuck in the asteroids, thus delaying the thing, or preventing people from being able to continue on. So, yeah, if you're seeing that, definitely let us know everything, or feel free to pop onto the forums, let the devs know, say, hey, this is what's going on, and everything. If you can get screenshots and video of any of this stuff, that's even better.
Now,
because...
I was going to say, I'm also seeing where it's not rewarding XP for kills.
Interesting.
So yeah, that's an interesting thing too.
Yeah.
So, you say, if you guys have any way to record any of this stuff for us, record it, screenshot it, send it to us. We'll be sure to pass it along to Cryptic and everything. I do have a direct line to them if and when stuff like this comes up. I can pass it along, be sure that they get it. But
the only one
screenshots.
The only one I've heard of about the Kobayashi Maru, I believe it's not really a bug. It's just I hear too many people going, "Oh my goodness, everything just one-shot the Kobayashi Maru in the third round. Oh my goodness." I was like, I think that's just because someone was pulling threat, and that's about it.
Yeah, that can happen. Now, and I should mention for people out there, you can actually apply heals to the Kobayashi Maru. So you can actually throw your heals on it. You can regenerate it. You can throw tactical team on it to redirect its shields. You can throw hazard emitters, engineering team. You can use
protomatter projector, I want to say, is a console I've seen a lot of people say works really well.
Oh yeah, it takes it up from
it does.
It takes it to 100 immediately.
Pretty much, yeah. Then you've got soul defense heal if you have to have it and you can spare it. That's another thing. Anything like that will work. So yeah. But, like I say, with that said, screenshots, video, any of that stuff you guys can provide, that will help in addition to our own test and whatnot. And maybe there'll be something in your all screenshots or video that we missed and that the devs may actually catch. But
yes, videos are always best.
So, that's pretty much the Bugs Corner for this evening. Rest assured that as we get closer to Victory's Life and more features come out, I will be testing those for you guys and everything, and hopefully there won't be any bugs with them and everything, but
cross your
anyways,
fingers.
moving on to our next segment of the evening, and we have the Teacher's Corner, and what have you got for us this week?
So this week I'm finishing out the Fleet Gear series. So this week, this video discusses what fleet gear is available from the colony. So I explore my Tier 4 colony to show what's available. There are a few interesting items there you may want to take a look at, like deflectors and bridge officers. Kentari bridge officers. But anyway, thoughts, questions, comments?
again, as usual, very helpful with these videos. I've always found them, so much easier to have someone basically tell me what's there than having to grind all the way through just to find out I don't have the stuff needed to buy something that I think may be needed,
Yeah.
It's also, there's a lot of stuff to get. It's hard to keep track with everything these days.
Yeah, it is. It really is. And so that's why I like to kind of shorthand and go, well, this is for that, and this works well for that, and, and highlight just a couple things that really stand out. But yeah, definitely.
But, yep. But, glad you put this out there because that way people can know what's at the various holdings and whatnot. And there's actually some very good gear that comes from the colony.
Yeah, there is.
Everything that people don't often think about. But, anyways, we'll have a link to the video for you guys so you can check that out and everything if you're curious about the colony. But coming up on our final segment of the evening, we have the RP Corner with Artie. What have you got for us, dude?
Well, recently, a few viewers of ours asked me a couple questions about how RP works with me and the different fleets I'm with. Well, one of the fleets I'm with, I'm going to take an example, and went with answering their questions. So, what we have here is just some of the general questions of how my fleet operates, more or less. The first question was, how does the fleet I'm with work with the STO timeline and the different stories that appear, all the way up from the very beginning to now? Well, as many players know, all of the stories from as soon as you start your character in the tutorial all the way up to the most recent stuff is anywhere between 2409 to, I think they're now getting to 2410. I don't know. I don't know if
Surface tension advanced to 2410.
There we go. Thank you. And that seems like a lot to happen within 2 years, or a year and a little bit of a second year. Anyway, so the fleet I'm with decided to go, that's ridiculous. So we just made it corresponding with modern day. So instead of it being 2409, we just made it 2418, for example, and just work with it from there. For any event that's we're going out to go to another planet nearby and it may take us a week to get there, we'll just hand wave it, say, oh yeah, we totally got there in a week, and that's how it works. So we can just get on with the RP. But for other things, sometimes we just decide to go, it will take us a week. We'll just hang around and do stuff while we're on our merry way over there, and we'll just live out a week basically. But that's that. The next question I got, which was actually pretty cool and interesting, was when Cryptic introduces a new starship, how does the fleet I'm with introduce it to our canon timeline? The easiest way we did it was we just made it that vessel's now officially now in use. Like, they're now building multiple ships. It's out of the testbed stage. It's a lot of the bugs have been fixed out of it. It's now becoming a main line in the fleet. For example, we have the new age light cruiser Reliant-class that we got recently. That's a obvious upgrade from what we had, like the Miranda. The Miranda's aging. It's been around for, 200 plus years now? A little less than that? Yeah.
About that, yeah.
And it's about time we've replaced such an ancient vessel, to put it that way. Don't get me wrong, the Miranda's a good ship, but when there's an obvious upgrade from it with modern day tech, and you don't have to keep on retrofitting the same hull, there's your new ship, the Reliant, and that will slowly replace the previous class. And that's just how we viewed it. I mean, even though the Iconian War took out majority of our fleet, we still have a lot of those older ships still putting around, and we may not see much of the newer ships just yet because they're not. You won't have any one fleet that's just all the new stuff yet, because it feels like it's still so soon from all the major conflicts that we've lost so many ships. So I digress. The next, I feel like the big final question that I had with this was, how does my fleet, the fleet I'm with handle recruitment. Working around with it, we have a standard recruitment process and applicant form. Basically, we ask for the character's name, their @handle, a little bit about their backstory and what they hope to accomplish in the RP fleet. For generalizing all that, we've also narrowed it down to what we seek as the fleet ourselves, because sometimes we just get an influx of so many of one kind of career setup, or so many of one rank and not enough of another. Because there are some fleets out there that have captains, admirals, everyone running multiple different ships, and no one to run as crew. So you just, every RP event, it's just giant fleet engagements, giant fleet engagement, giant fleet engagement. Not, I'm sitting around with my, away team doing some diplomatic stuff around a table. It's not, oh, my armada versus that NPC armada over there. And other times you may have a lot of ensigns, petty officers, everyone that's below a lieutenant, funny enough, and not enough captains. Or maybe you even have so many medical officers and not enough tactical or engineer. We've pointed out that what we have of our current status of what characters we do have at the moment, and then leave that to the applicant if they want to modify things or work with us to so they don't have to change as much. And we're very adaptable with that. We don't have to really. We don't ask the applicant to totally throw out their character's backstory unless they really, really want to. We don't ask anything like that. We don't force anything of such a dramatic change to anyone's character. Most times, the applicants are just like, yeah, this is my baby. This is my character I've personally made for this. And sometimes there are some fleets that are just like, no, you can't have that. That's too metagaming, this, that, and the other. It could be the simplest thing as you're the fresh ensign from Starfleet Academy, and they just won't accept you because you're an ensign or something. And then there's some that are just like very loose, like, yeah, you can be the great granddaughter of Kirk and the love child of Spock and McCoy, and somehow you're part Q, and apparently you banged Chakotay one time. Yeah, that's totally your character. Yeah, that sounded weird to everyone else. Yeah, that's a thing that I have come across. I'll be honest, that is something I have come across. Don't go to Drozana.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think that goes without saying if you see Drozana, but
Okay, yeah, that's like
I try to avoid there. My boots get sticky.
You see my point.
All I can say on that, and people will know what I'm talking about if you're a WoW player, Goldshire Inn, Moonguard. I don't need to say more than that.
But getting back onto topic, for the applicant to a fleet, we generally try to be friendly and help them adapt their character into the new environment, because taking it into real life, into a real life perspective, you don't jump into a new work environment totally knowing what's all going on. Like, you're already hanging out with the boss and all that. You're the new guy. I mean, maybe you're in a high up position, or maybe you're the new intern or something. You don't know everything that's going around. You don't know that all the meetings on Tuesday have donuts or something. Maybe you don't know how all the office forms are supposed to be, or something.
Wait. Donuts?
Yeah. Later.
I've been missing the donuts.
Home Kirby. Down Kirby. Don't make me get the spray bottle.
Are they Krispy Kremes? Just saying.
Probably. I don't know. Depends on the fleet, usually.
Are they glazed?
I cannot confirm nor deny this.
That's a yes.
But that's taking the real life perspective to it. Our characters and the new character will have to, interact. We'll show them around, show them all the new things, give them the grand tour. But we try to be friendly and adaptive to the new guy, to make sure they feel welcome. Nothing, nothing seems so grand and difficult, or if there's something that needs to be answered both in character or out of character, we can get that covered. Because there's too many times you enter a new fleet and you're like, yeah, I'm in, and you want to join in on the RP, but they're all in their little niche groups in the grand fleet, and you're just standing around at the bar going, I heard there was an event, but I don't know what ship it is, or if I'm supposed to be a captain and pilot my own ship out there, or I don't know what's going on. You know, we try to avoid that stuff. We try to, you know, make everyone feel interconnected in the story. So there's that. Yeah.
Alrighty then.
Very informative.
Thank you.
Indeed. Definitely sounds. Should give some people a good bit of information to work with, I guess. Is what I'm looking for. But, anyways, we will have that in the notes for you guys, for everybody that's kind of curious about it. But, anyways, that's our final segment of the evening, folks, and whatnot. But, as always, before we head out of here, a shout out to our good friends over at the Temporal Armada, a very cool bunch of people. Should check out their program and everything. Very cool people, usually always have something going on. Also a shout out to our other good friends over at the Kurtang Pirate Radio. The party is there, and definitely a very, very good music selection. Gotta hand it to them on that. Everything, but also, if you have any requests for the budget builds, you know, please let us know. We do take requests and everything. If you've got, you know, builds, say you want to do a, more of a bare bones option, we do that. If you're looking for more mid-range or high-end, we can help you out there. Just let us know what kind of ship it is you have, what you're wanting to do. Let us know, your budget level and all that sort of stuff, and we'll be sure to help you out in that area. If you think that your gear is in order, but maybe it's just your piloting that needs to improve a little bit, feel free to get a little video clip of your piloting to us in a mission onto our website, everything, or get it to us in some way, and we'll be sure to help you out there. After all, we are the Pilot Review Show. That's part of what we do. But if you've got any bugs or anything like that, feel free to let me know. Let one of these screwballs know. They'll be sure to get it to me and everything. I'll be sure to pass it along to the devs and everything. Although I give them crap, that's part of what I signed up for, is because I want to see the game as bug-free as possible, just as much as you or anybody else out there, and the devs themselves want to see as many bugs gone as they can. If you've got a request for the Teacher's Corner, feel free to let her know. She does take requests on various things. Maybe it's just you don't know how to work a certain system, or you don't know where to get this certain kind of DOF. Whatever it is, let her know, and she might just do a video over your subject.
Yep.
Also, for the RP Corner, Artie does take requests and everything, so if you've got something you want him to go over, maybe how to handle a certain event, or, what's a good way to explain this, he does take requests too, everything. But feel free to let him know.
Yep.
But, anyways, folks, that's what we have this evening for a show. It's actually one of our shorter shows in a while. Everything wasn't really a lot going on this week, but, yeah, that's pretty much what we have this week. For now, folks, this is the Pilot Review Show, reminding you to have your tribbles spayed or neutered. Goodbye, everybody.
Catch you around.
Bye.